Hello, and welcome to our lunch learn today. Here on the beginning part of today, I will thank you all for joining. I will go through some of the usual things. If you have questions, we can go through any different. We have one pre-submitted question from Justin. So we'll start with that once I'm done with the other things. So if anyone else has additional questions, please go ahead and type them up in the Q&A, and I'll be happy to discuss more. In the meantime, talk about a couple quick things. So first of all, check out our YouTube channel if you're interested in any additional content or just looking for what kind of options you have, new things to add in or just new training materials. So all of our lunch and learns get posted there, as well as any additional content that's expected this week. Training content, like, give us feedback on certain things like that. We also have our solutions marketplace. It's marketplace.decisions.com. Here, if you're interested in that, there's a whole bunch of different accelerators and things that you can download.
Jeremy, are you talking? I can barely hear you.
Is it better now?
Yep, it's much better now.
Okay, so sorry about that.
No worries.
All right, thank you. Well, just very quick. I mean, we do these in all of our lunch and learns. So if that was drowned out, YouTube channel, lots of great content, cool things. Give us feedback, subscribe, all that stuff. Marketplace, great things to download and install into your system if you're interested in any of the lots of cool things we have there. So definitely check those out and see if anything interests you. And then finally, upcoming events, decisions.com/events. If you want to find any upcoming events and things that you can check out, other webinars that we might have. When we have submersive events planned, things like that, those will be there. So if you're interested, check that out as well. All right, we can go ahead and head over to my other screen and we can get ready to start talking about some questions. We do have one pre-submitted question from Justin, so I'm going to start with that one, and then we can add any other questions. So if anyone has anything, type them up, please. Okay, so let me pull that question up. And Justin, I'll let you talk if you want to add some things while I read your questions. All right, so Justin's initial question. Justin's first question for us for today that we'll talk about is working on learning JavaScript controls. You wanted to be able to interact with other pieces of the form, like how if two date pickers, which have the same data name, will change each other. Is there a way to have JavaScript controls interact with data names in the same way? And so I can just point out like a couple basic things about that. The one thing I will say about JavaScript controls just in general is it's just one thing to just generally be careful about them, because I know that they can get quite complex in how they get implemented. So what we have here, whenever you create a JavaScript control, if you're going to create forms in your JavaScript controls, you can either add actions that work like buttons or an actual data control if you want it to work like a data grid or text box or something like that. And everything else within here, you have the ability to set up input data and output data, and including in that is providing names and things. So if you're just talking specifically about the ability to have a data name, in a JavaScript control, share a data name of another control, anything like that. In that case, you should be able to do it because all of these things work in the same way with a name and an actual like type that connects with it. There shouldn't be that much of a difficulty in achieving what I think you're describing there. For providing some kind of input or output name, and if it shares an input or output name of another control, then they would either override or share things like you're talking about with two date pickers that might have the same data names. So I don't see necessarily a problem in that. The only other thing would be if we're looking at more specifics about what you're actually doing with these JavaScript controls, because it can be quite complex. That's maybe something that's going to be a little out of my area of expertise if you're looking for further information on that side of things. But just at a base level of providing inputs and output datas and data names, as long as you have your JavaScript written the way you're looking for, then that kind of thing, I don't see a problem in that because that's just the, names of variables that you would set up in here.
Yeah, so I basically have the JavaScript control completely working. It's just when I do have the input data name the same as another element, uh, like another date picker in my form, uh, it's not update, like they're not communicating with each other at all. So that's why I was asking, is because I have the JavaScript taking inputs and outputting properly. It's just not interacting with anything else within the form.
Got it.
And if that's just outside of the expertise or ability of a JavaScript control, that's fine. I just wasn't sure.
Yeah, from what I know like one of the things we push is trying to do as much as possible without using the JavaScript controls. Not that, you know, obviously they're there because you can use them because they can be powerful, but a lot of times, if you need assistance or further like in-depth stuff with that, you can also have our team help with some of those things. So if it's like absolutely necessary that you need to have that connection, um, you could definitely reach out to support and ask about it. But yeah, it might genuinely just be a limitation of JavaScript controls in general with the way that they have to be built out. Whereas like date pickers, since they are just the same thing, it's easier for that connection to just kind of be shared and be addressed. That's my best guess there. If it goes deeper than that, um, then that's either a question for support or something that you might just have to find an alternative. You may even be able to just do something with like active form flows to say, if this gets changed, then change this, to focus on triggers of like similar how you might set an active form flow to trigger uh, one data element, have that change the other data element to make
That
sure
was
like kind
the
of force that connection, I guess.
that was the way I figured how to do it. Currently was to just have an active form flow that runs every second or two and just gets one value and then changes the other value.
Hmm.
So that works. I wasn't sure if there was a more efficient or correct way to do it.
Yeah, I don't think so. I was doing a little bit of fishing around before we started here when I saw your email, and I couldn't find anything that, you know, wasn't other than just basically, changing the name and seeing if it actually stuck. So yeah. So yeah, I think that would be your best bet for now. Otherwise, if there's something that we can do, the other the other thing that you can kind of keep in mind, this is just like a general tip, is if you are looking for some, like uh, kind of unique or important feature, you can always suggest or offer some kind of feature request too. So if it's something that's like pretty important to you and you want to make sure that it's, working properly uh, and that kind of thing, like, there's always the opportunity to potentially ask for a feature to have that control created. We're not afraid to take a look at feature requests and consider implementing them, things like that. I know that's one of the suggestions that I've been given in the past about JavaScript specifically, since sometimes, so I know sometimes people are like, I don't know, I don't have a workaround. JavaScript controls is the only thing I can think of doing. You can leave it to someone that, might be willing to actually add it, and doesn't necessarily mean that you're the first person that's trying to do this similar concept, stuff like that. So just something to consider.
Where would we send feature requests?
You can always reach out to support and say, like mention that. I believe that's usually. I think we always have our feature requests go through the support team, just in case they know of like the working method if it already exists that doesn't need like a full um, workaround. So if you reach out to them and say, I'm looking for this, does this exist? But I think it might be a feature request, most likely like that. They can, push it into that and create it for you.
Okay, thank you.
Hmm. And then you had a second part of that question, right, about the calendar,
No, that was just me
or is
describing
that
it
was
in
just
case that
relating to it?
helped.
Oh, okay. So that was just further details. Okay, cool. Well, then we can, excellent. All right. And we'll check the next question here. All right, we have one other question so far from Grant. It says the past few roadmap reviews have been canceled. Did they change the link? Interesting. I was not aware, but I can check on that. This one I might have to get back to you after our call here, Grant, because I don't know if I'll get a response back here, but I can ask about that for sure. That's cool. There's another event coming up. Let's see. Wonder if so and then let me just clarify. It's what's the day of? Was it like a notification that it was getting canceled, or just that it like sat there and nothing happened? Maybe that's the only thing I want to confirm just before just so I can make sure. But I'll definitely get back to you on that one for sure. Email notification. Okay, cool. I will ask about it, and just if I get any useful information, I can definitely send you an email with a response about what's going on there. It's also just entirely possible that with some of the updates and things like that, maybe they just weren't quite ready to announce what they were adding in the next sections if they were doing some testing to decide what exactly they can actually implement in 9.16 and stuff. It could be related to that. I'm not 100% certain, so I'll see if I can get information on that. Okay. That's all the questions I have at the moment. I don't want to jump immediately to ending lunch and learn in case we have anything else come up. I can give it a couple minutes for anyone else to join or ask any questions. While we wait, I can just I can start to show off something that we'll actually have some video content on our YouTube channel for soon. I'm actually going to be having a video come out for our YouTube channel that'll be highlighting tiles. So simple tile and simple tiles. But more specifically, I'll just create one of these real quick. More specifically, the tile actions. So I don't know how many people are familiar. Those of us in this call have messed with tile data too much, or if any of us are actually using pages at all. But I know on our main training courses, we kind of talk about tile data and just use it as a basic. Here's how you can create a tile that might display the count of something, or a couple of like things, use pieces of information that you just map into the lines here to just simply display information. And so I think a lot of people, at least especially very new people to decisions, don't quite realize that you can actually have tile data, and any of these tiles have additional actions. So you can have actions either upon like right clicking on something, or to just have actions on the actual tile itself. So in addition to it displaying information, you can actually have it be like a clickable button that you can click on to run a flow, or send someone to a specific URL or a different part of the decisions portal and things like that. And you can also use it to push data to controls, set up a data bus, and actually have that data maybe change what kind of report is displaying in the page, stuff like that. So you might have like 3 different tiles, and each of these tiles will be a reference to 3 different entities that you have in decisions, and by clicking on one, it changes to have the report display the report deals of entity 1, and then you click on the second tile and it changes the report to display the details of entity 2, and then entity 3 and stuff like that. Or you could have it run a float. Maybe you want it to both display information, but also be functional to save new data to your database, or display a new form with more information, or like more specific details than the details that are displayed there, stuff like that. So there's a lot of really cool things you can actually do with the tiles, as opposed to them just being a very dry, basic tile, just kind of showing some information, which I think is what I see at least a lot of, especially just kind of introductory things like this, right? It's simply just, here's a count of all the purchase requests in the system, and here's the total cost, which is just a sum displaying the total costs, right? But I can't do anything here. So with changing those actions, I can make it not only, maybe all purchase request count, and I click on it, and then it displays all of the purchase requests and the details about them. If I want to do this, or like I mentioned, I click on this, it might change this report to show all the purchase request report. And then I click on this and it'll show only the approved purchase requests in this report, because the data bus can change the filter or something like that to only show approved ones. And so it's a pretty neat tool. So, you're not necessarily limited to just simple buttons for running flows and things like that, but you can kind of make them more powerful in different ways. And again, and navigating things, all kinds of stuff like that. So there's quite a bit of things that you can do inside your create tile data step with these tile actions. And so we're actually going to be having a YouTube video covering that content very soon, most likely this week. So just kind of giving you a little sneak peek and a little reminder, if you're ever trying to do more things with pages, that this is a really neat option for doing what a lot of the regular page controls can do, with providing a URL, providing a run flow button, but on the actual tile itself. So, all right. Well, last chance. Any other questions? We can end a little early today. That's totally fine. All right. Well, we'll go ahead and end a little early. That's totally fine. Hope you all have a great rest of your day. Gregory should be leading tomorrow unless we decide to switch things up with things going on for us, and we'll continue Lunch and Learn that with that. So I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Grant, I'll make sure I get back to you if I hear more information about it. All right. Bye, y'all.